And then we're going to say good morning to everybody. So excited to have Andrew here. Skip, maybe you could say a few words about Andrew.
No. I'll let him introduce himself. I came across Andrew quite a while ago. He I guess through Wesley Chang, and he's very instrumental in Senior Roundtable, and he's done some other work for me with the CSA Journal, and now we got him on here. Is this your first talk on this meetup group? I think
Yes.
it is. Yeah. So anyway, he's extremely tech knowledgeable. You're going to learn a lot from him, but the blazing trail that he's making, with artificial intelligence, especially in real estate, is going to be pretty eye-opening. So we're all looking forward to this. So
That's what I'm excited about is the AI in real estate, especially for us as seniors real estate specialists and with our niche, and how we can apply what we can learn from Andrew going forward in our businesses.
Andrew, you want to tell us a little about your background?
Sure. So, yeah, I'm involved with the Silicon Valley Senior Roundtable, and I'm on the board there with Wesley and Shauna and Eleanor. And I help with a lot of the technology updates there of how technology is being used to support older adults. I recently did a panel that we were talking about at the beginning of this, at the last Silicon Valley Roundtable meeting in May, on aging in place with we worked with a CPA, with someone from Avenidas in Palo Alto and Mountain View, and then Vanessa Valerio from Care Indeed, which is a caregiving agency in the area. And so we explored what it means to age in place in the home of your choosing. We went into detail about sort of the four-legged stool of when you have to make a move that could be selling your house and moving into assisted living, etc. And then I've been involved with AI caregiving applications, AI in healthcare for insurance appeals, and now I work at an AI consultancy that focuses on all the chips that NVIDIA ships around the world, all the data centers that are being built globally, and the electricity that's involved in powering this AI revolution. So today I've got a presentation on how AI affects real estate, but I've worked as a caregiver, been involved with the older adult community for quite a while, and I can touch it a little so that it focuses more on that audience.
Awesome.
Okay. So should I get started, or is there other?
Yes, because I'm just so excited.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Actually, I sent a request to share my screen. Someone has to approve that.
Yeah, I got distracted and forgot to click that button for you, but I hit it.
No worries. Give me 1 second. Let me hit present. And okay, can everyone see my screen right now?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
Awesome. So yeah, this is a presentation on AI in residential real estate, looking at this year and last year. There's a little bit of stuff from earlier, but it's really about tracking what's happening since AI is moving really fast. It is disrupting a lot of industries, real estate included, and senior real estate included. So this is happening in education. It's happening in marketing. It's happening in real estate. Of course, AI itself is disrupting itself and moving extremely quickly. So there is a lot going on. And even for people that are, let's say, really paying quite close attention, it can be hard to know exactly what's going on and keep up with it all. So this is just a slight dive and general overview of some of the recent stuff that is particularly noteworthy and has been catching on. Okay. So First off, I wanted to divide real estate or AI used in real estate into a few core areas, because there's so many different ways you can use AI. Uh, a lot of people use AI to sort of replace certain human functionality, because there's a lot of work that people have been doing historically in every type of business, including real estate. But so I've sort of organized this into listings, visualizations, search, home valuation, and customer support. And so we'll just talk a little bit about how it's affecting this and how people are using it. And we'll start with listings, which is probably the easiest and lowest hanging fruit. Um, if you get a new house, and maybe some of you are spectacular writers and maybe some of you aren't, but a lot of people have been using ChatGPT to sort of work as a writing partner, whether they like its language, whether they're trying to write in a language that they don't speak, so translating to Spanish, to Chinese, etc. ChatGPT and the other AIs are extremely talented at taking your initial post, doing a pretty accurate translation, and maybe making a first draft that you can then expand upon for describing a listing or describing tags or other details about that listing. So this is one of those emergent properties of AI that has just been quickly and easily adopted and isn't really automation. It's more of just how do people that are just not very technical, not doing really complicated things where they're writing code or deploying custom software, how do they just go to chatgpt.com and solve the problem for themselves? And so listings is where a lot of that starts. Visualizations comes next, and this is something I've done a lot of work with. And all of these pictures here are generated with Midjourney. There's a couple others in the presentation that are not, that are just like screenshots. But it's very easy to make pretty high quality imagery now. And you can even accent or improve like a cell phone photo or a walkthrough of a house. So I'm going to show you a quick demo later that has some visual components, but some of the outputs at NVIDIA's GTC conference, which happens in April of the year I was there, they really dive into what's possible. So we looked at a demo of an AI staging company that would let you do augmented reality. You do a walkthrough of an empty home, and it would stage it and fill it with different furniture. And you could cycle through the different furniture and maybe have a red couch or a blue couch, etc. But some of the interesting things are when they add a realtor. So it's not just furniture anymore in that video walkthrough of a house. They put an AI person who can talk to you in real time and answer questions about the house. And so this is sort of the next gen visualization that is now popular. And one of the things that will probably be deployed before the end of the year is that realtor, that AI realtor, I should say, will be able to do all of the paperwork and process the transaction. And so that's something that's sort of rapidly and quickly coming. Uh, Search would be next. AI enhanced search is something that companies like Zillow, like Keller Williams, and Redfin are adding, where they're taking the problem of search where people maybe aren't necessarily very clear about what they want, or when they do it, they don't structure their query in a very useful way. And so the search will expand on their query and maybe get to know them a little bit and ask them maybe a few follow-up questions to get them closer to what they're looking for. So if they shout, I want a beach condo in San Francisco, they'd be like, well, great, there aren't a lot of those. Do you want something where you can walk to the beach? Is that what you mean? And then sort of derive that type of an answer. Next, we deal with valuations, and I do have a big section on this. One of the things that I feel like a lot of people forget because we have so much focus on generative AI is that AI at its core is actually predictive in nature. And it's rapidly becoming a lot better than people are at predicting, though there have been some stumbles on that. And so the way that ChatGPT works and the other different AIs are not that they actually write in the way that you and I write, but they actually take a word and then they predict the next word with a high degree of accuracy. And for language, that's great. They've been proven to be extremely effective, but predictive modeling can also be done for housing prices based on a lot of data in an area, maybe like the completion of a new BART station or the building of a data center or a train or an airport can have pretty serious impact on the economics of housing in a region. And while you used to have to work with analysts to put together complex reports to look at how that will affect pricing, now this whole chain can happen quite a bit faster and can be executed by people without having to interact with those actuaries and mathematical professionals. And then lastly, customer support is another one of the really low-hanging fruits. People have all sorts of chatbots that sit on real estate websites and are able to be multilingual and on call 24/7 and just answer questions for people. And so this hasn't really been an amazing product up until now, but there are some chatbots that are sort of tied into CRMs that are able to look up information in a CRM and then do things based on that connection to the software that you're already using. And this type of thing is becoming a lot more popular, and it's sort of turning the customer support from a toy into something that's now actually useful. And this has been happening as more larger enterprises and large companies have been um, using AI in this particular way. And so, yeah, customer support is really, really taking a big hit globally, both voice agents in like call support as well as text. So I want to talk real quickly about Zillow offers, which for any group of real estate professionals, it's sort of an elephant in the room that everyone laughs at just because they know that Zillow offers was sort of an AI powered buying program and that it catastrophically failed in 2021. Um, and one of the things that's interesting is that Rich Barton, one of the co-founders and at that time CEO of Zillow, never really recovered from this particular bet on AI. And actually, late last year, he did resign and shifted over to the head of operations for Zillow. There are still other companies that are doing this AI purchasing where they literally don't have anyone other than a company and an AI involved in buying a house. And so while this wasn't executed particularly well, uh, this will be a lot more common in the future, especially as companies are able to sort of refine and learn from the previous mistakes. And so I did want to bring this up as sort of one of the early screw ups. And with the core thing, I can send some links if you want to learn more about what happened with Zillow offers. You may know more than me as well, being a real estate agents. But the real thesis, buying high and selling low, doesn't really work at scale, and AI sort of will give you the rope to hang yourself. And in this instance, it did. So I wanted to talk about a couple AI companies, and we're actually going to look at a demo of eSelf AI right after this. So I'll just do like a very quick overview of some of these. A lot of these are either selling directly to real estate agents like Zuma and House Whisper. So these are like AI assistants that can read your CRM, can sit on the site and do customer support, and sort of work to help you to be a better real estate agent. They're sort of a digital partner who can do a lot. Um, View is an interesting one because they're taking like Google Maps and satellite photography, and they're actually doing house inspections remotely using AI. So doing automatic checking of things to like see if it needs a new roof and see if it has solar and checking out other houses in the neighborhood. And so They're doing it in a bunch of different industries, but real estate is one of the big ones. And it's definitely worth a second look. Bramble and With Joy are both run by realtors. And so these startups have a real estate team behind them. And they are both AI companies. One's in Washington, and I think one's in the Bay Area, where they're offering a refund. So they're offering like 20 to 30K back in like broker fees because they're using AI to better match people to houses. So this is a trend that it's not just one, it's several, and there are actually dozens around the world that are doing this, where because of the time and the self-discovery that they're using AI to sort of make up a large portion of the work, they are offering discounted rates to people doing housing transactions. And that's sort of the offer of use our AI-based things, save money, and work with us, which,
Uh,
yeah. Oh, does someone have a comment?
That's a good point. Is AI influencing the commissions in any way?
That's exactly what I'm saying is
Okay.
happening there. I'll stop sharing this and I'll just go to their webpage real fast just so you can sort of see how they present it. And the links are there, but here is how they're presenting it of buy a home, get paid 15K, sign up, buy a home with us, and we'll share 70% of our commission with you. And then this is broker Kevin Gioa, Washington real estate firm. This is run by a real estate team. So this is sort of the AI enabled agency that they're putting together. And it's really focused on the Washington region, but they're not the only ones doing this. There are many entities doing this type of thing. And all the links are available in the presentation if you want to do a quick review. So I'll just jump back to the presentation real fast. And I wanted to talk about eSelf AI. I sort of hinted at this. And so this is a short 2-minute demo, and it's a video. And so I'm just going to hit play. Let me know. I'm sharing a screen, so let me know if this actually works. Can you guys see the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Danielle, a real estate expert from Porta de Frente. Ready to start? Yes. Great. Let's find the perfect apartment for you.
I don't hear it very well, though.
Can't hear it.
Or any other city in Portugal you prefer.
I might try sharing my whole screen and putting this on YouTube real fast.
Yeah,
Tires.
that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Lisbon. Lisbon is a fantastic choice. How many bedrooms are you looking for in your apartment? 3. Perfect. Now, what is your budget for the apartment? 2 million. Thank you for the information. Let me find some apartments in Lisbon with 3 bedrooms and a budget of 2 million euros.
And to be
I
clear,
found an apartment.
both the woman and the conversation are AI generated.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
124 square meters. The price is 530,000 euros. Would you like to do a virtual tour of this property? If so, which space would you like to see first?
I want to see the bathroom.
Let's take a look at the bathroom. It's designed with modern fixtures and a clean aesthetic, providing a comfortable space for relaxation. Now, what would you like to see next in the apartment?
I want to see another apartment.
I found another apartment in Lisbon. This one is located in Anjos and features 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a spacious area of 170 square meters. The price is 1,800,000 euros. Would you like to do a virtual tour of this property? If so, which space would you like?
That's a pretty good demo.
That
Let's go back real fast to the presentation itself. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second. Let me start the presentation. You get the idea of what is now possible with AI and how this is going to rapidly and aggressively supplement your team. So let's skip ahead. One of the advantages that AI has over people when in real estate is that it's very good at simplifying busy work. So you can sort of drop a complex, you can write up maybe 10 bullet points about a meeting that you had, drop it into an AI now like ChatGPT, and ask it to expand on those or write up that busy work. And in some of the examples of those companies that make AI support agents, it can actually do the work in your CRM, like fill out HubSpot or whatever you guys are using. So simplifying busy work is probably one of the most attractive and easiest ways to initially engage with AI. But the high availability and patience, I think, are especially relevant for working with the senior audience. Um, those AIs that I just showed, that type of video walkthrough, I mean, it's like a website, right? It's available 24 hours a day. It will repeat as many times as is necessary. In my example in this presentation, I can't really control the volume, but for them, if it's too quiet, you can just bump the volume. So a lot very configurable and usable for an older audience that might need to go over things multiple times or have hearing issues. And then the fluent in any language is really quite a big deal. I have another demo that I'll go over that I put together over the weekend using 11 Labs. And one of the fascinating things with a lot of this is to be real estate in the Bay Area, agent in the Bay Area, it is somewhat important to be multilingual or at least having a deep understanding of the cultural behaviors of different ethnicities and countries of origin. So having an AI that can do the same call in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Chinese, whatever you want, and say the same thing is an advantage over most people, because most people don't have that level of linguistic professionalism. And then one of the other interesting things is once you've created this at one agency or one local branch, it is very scalable and clonable. So if you're with Compass and you've created one that works extremely well, and now you want this type of specifically tuned AI agent to be at every branch and with every real estate agent, that's pretty easy to do. Whereas if you were to do that with people, there's like training, there's relocation costs, there's all sorts of stuff. And then the last thing, while people talk about all the money that AI costs, at the end of the day, it's actually pretty cheap. ChatGPT is like $20 a month. Most of these services are 20 to hundreds of dollars per month, which compared with a person is really just a drop in the bucket. However, everything is not a loss. There's still a lot of advantages that AI people have over AI, and why there's still a role in a lot of these industries. One of the things that AI is really bad at is having initiative, which is sort of what separates great real estate agents from average ones, of being able to recognize opportunities and actually go and make them happen.
Sure.
And there's not a strong likelihood that this particular issue will be overcome by AI in a reasonable amount of time. So if you've got good initiative, that's an edge. I did bring up that within the course of this year, we likely will see entire deals closed by AI. And I'm not talking about the Zillow offers. I mean, the walkthrough where they're talking to a virtual woman in a video. She does a demo. She does all the same things that a real estate agent does, except it's an AI instead of a human. That likely will happen over the course of this year. But as you probably know, there are a lot of things that can hold up a deal. And it does require a person to sort of push it over the finish line. And so the ones that AI will be able to handle completely on their own are going to be very simple and not messy real estate deals, which if I had to ask any of you how many of those deals have come across your plate, you'd be like, oh yeah, I can remember one, because most of them are not so simple. Responsibility is a big issue. When something goes wrong, when there's a lawsuit, when there's refunds, when there's contract breaking, AI doesn't assume responsibility for anything. This is a huge issue. It's sort of what slowed down self-driving cars, and it's still not really a solved problem even for cars. There does exist, I know Lloyd's of London recently offered insurance for AI chatbots that say things that get the company into trouble. And so that's now an insurance you can buy, which I find fascinating. But beyond that insurance, there are very little opportunities to actually assign responsibility or blame to the AI. I'll talk about technical know-how. So I'm a fairly technical individual, and a lot of this is still quite complicated to implement. However, I will say that that is mostly on the setup and maybe some light maintenance. So there still is a lot of technical know-how for the most interesting stuff that will change. So yeah, that is a one of the less significant disadvantages. But then the limited physical presence. So while AI is moving very fast, and you may see YouTube videos of robots that are very impressive and can dance and jump over things, uh, that's still a long way off. Robots are far behind AI right now. And so to have a physical presence, to be able to help someone stand up or do a walkthrough, and to literally be like a physical robot with an AI that's able to act in real time, that's not something you really have to worry about anytime soon. So I have one other demo. So I put this together in one weekend. And so I'll show you real fast what this looks like. Let me share my screen. And I did this using 11 Labs conversational AI. And so I actually did a test with my wife, who speaks Vietnamese, and tested that it can do this work both in English and Vietnamese. But what's interesting about this is it's a voice agent. So it's very similar to the one that we saw in the video. There's no like person behind this, so it doesn't have a picture, it just has this like weird blob. But if you look over here on the left, it can both call, so it can be available to call, and it can do outbound. So you can like upload a list of other people's cell phones, or you can set it up so that if they fill out a form on your site, it then calls to follow up. And so this AI can actually call people and talk with them, which is notably different.
This is Aria, your virtual real estate agent. I can help you find a home that fits your needs. Tell me, what are you looking for today?
I'd like to find a house in San Francisco, $1 to $2 million.
That's a fantastic goal. San Francisco is a beautiful city with a vibrant housing market. To help me narrow down the perfect houses for you, could you tell me a little more about what you're looking for? For example, what neighborhood are you interested in? And what are some of your must-have features? Also, are you pre-approved for a mortgage? I'll take everything we discuss and get back to you shortly with some options.
Sure. I'm not pre-approved for a mortgage. I'd be interested in the Nob Hill neighborhood and maybe something with a view.
Great. Nob Hill offers stunning views, so that's a perfect area to look. Finding a house with a view in that price range and neighborhood will likely be competitive. To make the process smoother, I highly recommend getting pre-approved for a mortgage as soon as possible. It will significantly strengthen your offer when you find the right house. What's your timeline for buying? Knowing that will help me prioritize properties that best suit your needs. I'll get started on gathering information based on your preferences and we'll be in touch soon.
My timeline for buying is over the next 3 months.
Okay, a 3-month timeline is achievable. Given your preference for Nob Hill, a view, and your price range, we'll need to move quickly to secure a property. Getting pre-approved for a mortgage is crucial to make competitive offers in this market. Are there any other features you'd like to prioritize, such as a specific number of bedrooms or bathrooms, or perhaps a modern kitchen or updated bathrooms? The more details you can share, the better I can assist you. I'll compile all this information and consult with my team, and we'll be in touch very soon.
So my demo is a little bit weak, but it's still a heck of a good start. And that is something that me working for about 2 hours on a Sunday was able to put together. I trained it on some of the like California rules and regulations. I tested it in Vietnamese and English. It both worked and can walk through properties and knows what the playbook is for Compass and Redfin. And so that's sort of what it has, and it can walk through a form or a structured process, very similar to a script. Um, and that's what it was doing right there. So one of the main takeaways from this is that I hope you'll understand that anything that you can do on a computer, AI will also be able to do. And physical work is what is coming up next. So whenever you send an email, when you go to a portal and you check something, you put up a listing online, a lot of this can be automated or accented today, and it requires a little bit of work. But a bunch of the AI tools, I mean, AI in our lifetime will be way better at using a computer than we will. And that applies to all computer tasks. So that's just a really good takeaway. And large companies like Compass and Zillow are probably going to be the largest beneficiaries of these innovations, just because they'll be able to offer these services and then see if they're actually bringing in money or driving business, and be able to make the longer term bets that maybe smaller local businesses might not be able to make. And then they'll also be able to offer really consistent offerings, as well as sort of localize them to maybe the different buying practices that happen in Thailand versus the US markets. Um, there are a couple things to go over that you can use today that are moving quickly. So here, these are just some links. I'll just very quickly go over these. But AI for legal is really popular right now, and Spellbook is one of the leading companies in the space. It can go over contracts, it can look for red flags, it can be a really good first pass. And yeah, this is specifically trained and operated by a lawyer team. And so some of the stuff that it does actually can be used in practice. Um, I have the link to the virtual real estate agent. That's from eSelf. The lower commissions, we've seen a couple examples of that. AI customer support, Salesforge is a really good example of this, of one that can do LinkedIn outreach, can do emailing and make phone calls to people. Marketing automation, this one, if you have posts, so if you have like a listing, you can put this into missing letter and it can make like, I don't know, 20 social posts that go out over the next 3 months that just post about a series of things. And if you have a core listing, it can then expand those or grab your pictures. And it sort of just does a lot of the Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and other social media automation so that you don't have to. And then lastly, virtual staging, we talked about a little bit. And Kolov is a good example of that, of being able to fill an empty house with cell phone photos with high quality furniture. So I have a AI self-reflection exercise for the audience about your AI future. And so I wanted to encourage everyone to take one day and then write down a one-sentence description of everything you do on a computer that takes more than 5 minutes. And then at the end of that day, once you're finished, take your list and ask your preferred GPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, how you can automate or improve these, and to give you an example of that. Could be a really easy starting point. If it doesn't give you good answers, you can send me an email and I can tell you about how I've seen other people use this. But I work in AI and consulting, so I work with a lot of finance people all the time. And so this particular quote from David Solomon, the Goldman Sachs CEO, really, I feel, says what's going on better than most of the other topics, which is the work of drafting an S1, which is like when a company is going public and being on the stock exchange. Used to take 6-person team 2 weeks to complete, but now it can be done 95% by an AI in a few minutes. And so that last 5% now matters because the rest is a commodity. That is very quickly going to happen to every industry. So education, real estate, sales, everything that we work in. And so the real focus is to figure out how to make that last 5% that is what's necessary to be successful in our roles, the most important part of what we do. So thank you all for listening to me talk. I do really appreciate it, and happy to take any questions.
Wow.
How about some of the other legal things like flood zones or fire areas or things like that that don't come up in every contract, but can AI find those and then make an appropriate legal document for it for
Uh,
listings?
so one of the companies that I mentioned, that's actually exactly what they do, which is ZiteView. That's a huge part of their work. And making the contract, they could give you they'll analyze it with AI and then give a report, and then you would use a contract AI similar to Spellbook to actually draft the contract. So it would be two different AIs, but yes, that is possible.
Okay.
Andrew, who do you see like where do you see the most traction in? I mean, you have different they have like agents in real estate like condos to castles, right? And where do you see this kind of developing, from where we are now to where we're going? I mean, maybe that's specific to realtors that function in the senior space or in general. Because I can see, I mean, my mind's like a popcorn machine right now going off on so many ideas specifically for people that focus in this in with seniors because I mean this is a passion for me and it is such a black hole abyss when people are coming into this stage of their life. And I think the more I tell people all the time, the more resourceful you can be, that's the name of the game is how resourceful can you be? How connected can you believe? And I just see this being like such a phenomenal tool
I'm sorry?
in so many different
Yeah.
ways. Because people really don't have anybody to talk to when they're going through this. It just seems so lonely. And to get those like in the generation that we're in, people want answers quickly. So I just see this as being like fascinating and giving a lot of insight. I'm gonna follow up with you like the second we get off this phone call because I have so many. But like, what's your? And I just went on and on. But like, where do you see people really embracing this right now? And like, where do you see like this gap that this is gonna fill for people that are like in search for housing or whatever, what have you?
So, especially as it pertains to older adults,
Mhm.
I think I mentioned that last 5% that's sort of tricky to do is going to become a lot more important. And so there's a lot of placement professionals that once an older adult maybe has aged out of their home and they're no longer able to age in place and they need to go to an assisted living or some other type of place. I think that the selling and the placement may intersect a lot more than they do today. The responsibility of that may happen, and it may be easier to do that because just to imagine as part of your sales process for an older adult who's selling the home that they've been living in for a while, you could have an AI agent that like meets your standards and follows your process. Walk them through the top 5 assisted living in the area that are in their price range. That's something that you could do very, very easily and sort of shorten that gap and improve the service offering. So I could see that type of thing happening.
I can too. I think that there's not enough transparency as far as housing for seniors. I think that it's way too complicated. It wastes a lot of time. There's not enough transparency on this, and um we just don't have that kind of when you talk about like apartments and leasing and houses, we have like 5,700 boarding cares in the state of California. Nobody's seeing inside of them. And my question to you also is, and I don't want to take up anybody else's questions, but Matterports, I
Yep.
kind of know a little bit about that. Wouldn't that be really helpful, that technology, if like boarding cares wanted to do like a quick kind of 360 or kind of video view, and this can they can tie in very nicely because it's like I said, it's a real abyss for families. And I feel like this is going to get more sophisticated before the actual care navigation does in our medical system, because there's more incentive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I'd say is Matterport is awesome. It does really high quality stuff and presentation is sort of critical. But some of the stuff that I'm talking about, you could take like a kid with a smartphone and just walk through a board and care and then overlay a real estate agent over that. So it doesn't have to be rocket science. This is something that can be done very, very
I'm calling you
quickly.
the minute we get off this this call. I think this is incredible. I think it's just so, this is what we need. I mean, this could really change so much. And what I think it's going to change is helping people faster, who especially stress and in crisis. I really think that there's a huge, wonderful piece to this.
Okay,
And
we have another question from Colleen.
Yeah, can you hear me?
yes.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Great. Andrew, thank you very much. This is really exciting and helpful. I missed the slide with all of your references to different AI companies. Would you mind putting that one up again? I wanted to take a picture of it so I could look into them.
I can make the deck available to anyone. If you send me a note, I'll send you a link to the deck.
Okay.
So
And we're
I'll leave my,
recording too, so.
and I'll
Send
leave
it
my
to Julie.
email right there. It's andrew@lekashman.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. There aren't very many Lekashmans on planet Earth, so I'm sort of easy to track down. But yeah, if you send me a note, I'll send you a link to the deck.
Okay, thank you.
And Namisha? I guess she's done. So, anybody
Yeah.
else? Oh, go ahead,
Hi.
Namisha. There you
Sorry.
are.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks, Andrew. This was a great one for sure. I think like the other realtors have expressed a couple of things as a sounding board, right? In my mind, this profession is about managing, boiling down to the 5%, if you will, is managing emotions and managing risk for the clients that we represent in this industry. Um, what do you think about that? That will set human beings or humans apart and value our services even more. And second is from a visualization perspective, is there a tool you would recommend for, integrating different apps like Google Maps, etc. So I have a use case in mind. Either I can take you through it right now, or I can take you through it offline as well.
You can probably go offline. So yeah, please send me an email and I'm happy to go through a use case. In terms of tools, I have lots of tools that I can recommend. I look at a lot of this stuff all the time. So I'm more than happy to go over that. In terms of putting a lot of it together, that does remain to be a little bit of the tricky part with a lot of this, just because many of these technologies are emerging and they aren't sort of, let's call them enterprise ready, where they have lots of integrations to lots of things. There are a few that have developed some of those integrations over the course of that year, which I mentioned is like real estate assistants that will connect with your CRM. And so that's sort of the first step is how do we get an AI to actually do something in the place where I do work? And then connecting with the other stuff, like how do I make a website really fast? All of that. There are tools for doing it, whether they are specifically catering to your workflow. That's more that's a harder conversation to have.
Are there
Got you.
specific AI companies that deal with senior housing? That incorporate universal design and things that would make it senior friendly?
There aren't that many that are specifically focusing most of the real estate companies are doing general real estate, and then senior is sort of a category that they work with. But I will say there are a lot of accessibility related tools that are good for seniors. So the high availability, I'll go back to that slide where I go over a bunch of that here of fluency, high availability, and patience. Those are things that are I mean, it's good to be patient as a realtor, as anyone really. That's really important. But um, those are accessibility things that it excels at. And it's not going to get upset if someone swears at it or whatever. It'll sort of just move on and move past it, which you'd hope that I would be able to do that, but it's not always possible. But there are quite a few accessibility things. And then there's just a lot of stuff that's present in computers that lends itself well to accessibility. So the fact that we're doing this on Zoom right now, for people that don't necessarily leave the house, that's accessibility. The ability to like zoom in and make text and fonts bigger or smaller, usually bigger, is an accessibility. And then adding captions to stuff is definitely an accessibility feature of AI, just because it's outputting text.
So I have a question. I'm looking at fluent in any language. And
Yep.
so when we engage with AI and then we want to produce whatever it is that we want to produce and then have them say, okay, now do that in Spanish. Is that like what you're talking about?
That is exactly what I'm talking about.
Well,
And
then
let me,
but how are we going to know if it translated properly? I mean, who's going to guarantee that? Okay, I
uh,
work with a bunch of licensed interpreters, court interpreters. You know, they're licensed and certified as interpreters. It's a big deal.
what I'll say is, so I'm sharing my screen right now for this agent that I put together. I just kind of dragged down from the list of ones that, and this is for spoken, by the way, to be clear. It also will do it in the other language, but this is for a spoken one. And then in terms of the data collection and logs, so I have a call history, um, and I can actually look at the conversation. So this is transcription and audio from the one that my wife did.
Xin chào, tôi là Aria, trợ lý bất động sản ảo của bạn. Tôi có thể giúp bạn tìm.
And so well, this is the AI, this is my wife. And so it transcribed the whole thing. And so you could drag this into ChatGPT or Google Translate or whatever and be like, can you translate this and make sure it was accurate?
Okay.
So I hope that
answers
answers your question.
No, that answers that question for
And
sure.
then if you look over on the right, I think this is like the most important part of the thing, is that thanks to Jensen over at NVIDIA, pricing has started getting really good for a lot of this stuff. So this 5-minute call cost a total of 2 cents.
That's too much.
Wow.
Too much, too
2
expensive.
cents worth.
Yeah. And so that's actually one of the biggest deals in this is that a lot of these AI tools, they started out pretty expensive when they first came out, and now the cost of operations has gone like way, way down, and we're talking like 100x in a matter of years. And 100x, when something gets 100x cheaper, when like the other stuff, and it was already kind of close to being how a person was, that's a very steep drop in a very short period of time, and that doesn't usually happen in industries, and that's really what's happening here.
Thank you.
So I'll just go back to the presentation with my slide, and so I have my contact info up. But yeah, it's been a pleasure talking with everyone, and happy to follow up if anyone wants to chat about other things later. Again, yeah, I work at a company called SemiAnalysis, so we track all of the things that are happening with data center builds and AI globally, and work with financial firms and large entities to sort of provide intelligence about what's going on and do consulting. So that is actually what I do professionally, but then I have a passion for helping people age in place and working with the older adult community because my mother is a care manager in the Bay Area. And so, yeah, I work with the Silicon Valley Senior Roundtable, and I maintain the email list and all the people that are at SRT. I send out all of our updates for all of our events. So,
And
if you
they
want to
meet,
go over those, yeah, can
they
talk to me.
meet the third Thursday of each month, usually at a different community. And Many times they'll have a really decent speaker like we do. So get on the mailing list for them.
So you do stuff with Wesley with the telemed, right?
I don't with
Mhm.
telemedicine, but I'm very familiar with it. So
So because yeah, we are moving into a lot of opportunities to have AI monitoring products for in the home that families can use to interact with their family members, and the family members, the older family members, can live in a more independent environment, but still be monitored.
I think that the monitors on that, and there are things that are getting much better. There's Newbie is like these light fixtures that monitor motion sensors and patterns. There's uh motion sensors are really what's going to really, and fall prevention sensors, like AI powered cameras that can sense fall prevention. That's really where the jam is. And then also measuring some people's like activity levels, like if they're getting up later in the morning, how often they're going to the bathroom in the evening, how much, what time, or that, how often they're going in the kitchen, how much they're drinking water. Those are the types of things that can really sustain independence, but with some technology support.
yeah, I do that in the technology update about once a year, and talk about a lot of those particular innovations. They are really inspiring just because of fall. People don't realize the impact that fall can have in terms of affecting even where you're going to live and if you have to sell your home and all those sort of things.
People are living longer, and so those falls, when they happen, occur, it's
Yeah.
about recovery.
Exactly. So yeah, thank you again. I'll pass it back to you, Julie. But any other questions, feel free to drop me a note and I can chat. I am local, so I live in the Bay Area. So yeah, and welcome to any senior roundtable event.
Well, all of that's amazing, and it's going to give us so many different ideas moving forward as realtors, as senior real estate specialists, and as in senior care providers. So, which as senior real estate specialists, that's what we're doing. We're endeavoring to do is we combine the senior care with our real estate. So thank you so much, that we learned a lot. And
Yeah.
My
it's
pleasure.
kind of like, okay, now I got all these ideas, and which direction do I want to go now, or what do we see? And now we have a resource, Andrew, which is amazing because we do, like, I just read a paper the other day about a monitoring system that that does your heartbeat, your breathing, everything, and there's no connections on you. It does it all Bluetooth or something. So yeah. Anyway, anybody else have any questions?
You're funny, Rodrigo.
Well, before we jump off, I just want to give you an idea of what's coming up next week. John Bacagalupi, who's another financial planner, is going to do a presentation on 721 exchanges. Now, you all know about 1031, but 721, and here's your teaser, it's exchanging into a REIT instead of a property. So it'll be pretty interesting as well, and you want to pay attention. Now, the 17th, we have Curtis Peterson from the Certified Senior Advisors, and they're going to be talking about the CSA and their program again. But I just want to point out that one of the requirements that Compass has now for their own Compass Plus group, which is new and starting up, and they just went live. They're actually in Denver right now with their retreat, but they're going to be talking more about what they have to do with their program as well. And Curtis will be talking about CSA and the Compass Plus group, which you probably want to pay attention to as well. So lots of good things coming up. I hope you can all make it to these. And don't forget, we are recording them. And as soon as Julie gets the website made, we'll have a place to put them so you can access them. So,
And they're always accessible on the email I send out every week. So, I'm excited to learn about what's going on with the Compass and the Compass Retreat and Compass Plus launch. So a couple of our local participants with our SRES group are in Denver right now attending this. So they're going to give us a whole bunch of information and observations when they get home. So I'm pretty excited about that. So
you get excited about anything, though.
oh, there's plenty to be excited about.
Apparently.
Well, what do you guys think?
See, they're excited too.
Mueller.
They're excited too.
Andrew, so do you just happen to know off the top of your head this month's senior roundtable meeting location and subject?
I don't.
Yeah, we don't either.
I'm having a meeting with Wesley and folks tomorrow afternoon. Usually we do it on Wednesdays to discuss it.
Okay.
I'll know tomorrow.
It is only the 3rd. Okay, I know. It's only the 3rd of June. But I'm excited. You know, we have with the senior roundtable, especially in our area, because we have so many senior living communities and of different types. It's a quagmire. We should have a whole meeting about just that, really, because even even my colleagues that are in placement, they can hardly keep up. We have, I don't know, a few hundred units coming online that are going to be ready for occupancy like the end of next month. And just in South San Jose, Merrill Gardens, on Almaden. Oh my gosh, that place is huge.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Okay. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to share? If you guys have any subjects or anything that you'd like to learn about, or maybe we could have presentations over, you can always share that with us. That would be fun.
I just had a comment. Yeah, thank you so much for always putting these together, and Andrew for the insight. Sorry, I've been in and out. So just like last week, I don't know if Mike Scoggins is here.
Mike's not on today, but he is in our group. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So he is actually the person that I refer my senior clients to. And there's just something about the human touch. I mean, it's wonderful if they can even figure out how to get on the computer, the seniors, and, log into the computer and then go on and find these programs and be comfortable with that medium, because majority of the seniors that I know has not grown up with technology, and some are more tech savvy or comfortable, than others. Like I know for my own parents, I begged and begged and begged my parents to let me get them a cell phone. I'm like, I'll set it up, I'll give it to you, I'll pay for it. My mom refused to
Yep.
have a cell phone.
Yeah.
Now that I got one in my dad's hand, now he can't live without one, right? So there are some that are adapt. And last week, Mike and I, they would like to do things in person. And their daughter was, who's out of the area. I was able to go to their house, set up the Zoom the daughter in, sit with my senior clients as well as Mike to go over, his thing. And there's just something about being in person that they liked. And even yesterday, I was talking to a retired veteran, who's down the line, wants to do something real estate. And I said, well, we could do Zoom, because Zoom is like, so great, right? Like this, right? You could save a lot of time. You can meet with a lot of people in one day, right? Do a whole bunch of meetings where we used to not be able to do that. We have to see in person. But I give people the choice. Would you like to meet in person, by Zoom, by, you want to talk over the phone, by email, what? And a lot of the older people like to meet in person. They want to make sure that there's a real person that's there helping them. And so that is, I think, the one thing that I see that AI is not able to do, because people desire, or maybe the younger people not as much because they're used to the technology, but I know seniors really desire that, just that human connection, and that somebody is there, talking about things other than business, right? Because like I showed up to their house and she had this little box ready to share with me, because she's not now mobile. And so she was sharing with me that she loved going to the beach. And then her friend who went to the beach put little sand and little shells and little chairs. So she brought a little piece of the beach to her, and she wanted to share that with me. And I don't know if that's something that, someone that AI can replicate. So anyway, that's my own thing.
I hit my button. Okay, so I don't know if it was just me or if I saw something somewhere, but some of our clients, especially if we develop an ongoing relationship with our clients, family, and friends, and the older members, like Lin was explaining, they're like, I don't need no cell phone. And the landline is just fine and all of that kind of stuff. Or one of the biggest conversations we have is about the I've fallen down and can't get up button. Yeah. And we still get a lot of objection over that.
Well, they're obsolete now.
Well,
The
right. I mean,
watches
even that
and
whole concept has
rings.
morphed, right?
Mhm.
But we still get objections. So, one of the things about, especially with AI and home environments, there can be objects in the home that can monitor and that can serve to produce these produce these monitoring situations where it's totally like the residents, our family members, they don't even really know that it would be there. Of course, we would have to tell them, or do we? Just saying, do we really?
Are you talking about
really?
like emotion sensors and things like that? Because years ago, boarding cares were not allowed to have baby monitors.
Right?
They were not allowed to, but now they can.
Yeah.
It's a totally different world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that changes things a lot. There's some videos they're circulating there on some pretty tragic elderly abuse and people being filmed. Typically, if you're a fiduciary that have responsibility of overseeing care of caregivers, whether they be agency or you hired them, you had permission because that person was impaired. They were under the care or guidance of a professional fiduciary. So then then there started being allowed as long as you told the caregivers. So and it's definitely turning around in childcare. So you can't have it with one and not the other.
Right. Yeah.
But
It is morphing. Yeah.
But but my question to you is, when you're saying is like that they have to have this monitoring solutions, are you talking specifically in a board and care situation, in a bigger home situation? And why do you feel like there needs to be this push for that? Do you think people would be more comfortable with the transitions, or?
Well, it's not a push. It's just for us as real estate professionals. If we see, usually what I tell people, if you see something, say something. And if you see an opportunity that something, some family in their home might have a situation where it could be improved upon by having some kind of monitoring situation because they're facing their own family challenge, then we can make these suggestions. We're fiduciaries as well. So, and we can only make suggestions. With our own families, that's different. But with our clients, we make suggestions and we provide resources and guidance. So we just need to know about what's going on, what's available, and what can help the family, and know, what to a particular family. Then the other thing I was thinking, and Andrew, maybe you can think, so I do get some acceptance, like with a large Apple tablet
Mm.
with very, very simple application on it. And then our senior family members can use this large tablet for just simple applications of communication and for emergency purposes. And there is a lot more acceptance and use for these types of products. I've been seeing more and more, people talking about it, or people making them available. What do you think about all that?
So the one iPads are great. They're very accessible, sort of easy to use, and they have a lot of accessibility so they can connect with hearing aids and things of that nature. I know GrandPad has a pretty robust service offering that they do where, I mean, you do have to buy the thing. It is somewhat expensive. I think it costs, the pad is free and then it's like a $50 a month subscription. But what that comes with, it is like one click zoom to like zoom with your family, which interesting.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then it has a big button always visible for support. And so you can, the older person can poke that button, and then like a tech guy or tech girl can come in and take control of the thing and like walk them through how to do stuff. And that's what the service offers, is like that support button attached to an iPad. Or I don't know if they use iPads, it might be some Android tablet today.
Yeah.
It has like games, they'll preload your like photo albums and things like that. And so it's not something that like you or a caregiver has to do. It's something that's sort of part of the package, but it does cost what, $600 a year. But
What was the name of that again?
GrandPad.
Oh, yeah,
Grandpad,
Brand.
Um,
GrandPad.
like
they're the most,
grandpa.
yeah, like grandpa. They're the most robust one I've seen. They're pretty popular, but yeah, I won't
Are,
pretend that it's cheap, but it's 61 a month now is what it costs. I just looked it up.
Ooh,
are
wow.
you familiar with Cami Vision? KAMI?
I've heard of it as well, yeah. A lot of these are pretty good. Cami Vision is a fall detector though.
Mhm.
It's
Not interactive.
Yeah. Totally separate. The fall detection stuff is cool. I
It
could, yeah, I
does.
could do a tech update on that. But the big thing is there's a bunch of those that don't use video, which is somewhat important actually, because the fall detection that uses video is great until you do the math and you think about where people actually fall and it's in the bathroom, and people don't like cameras watching them poop or shower. And so
Well,
you
it's
need to
not just
figure out how to do it without the video.
that they don't have the video. If they can't actually have the video person, it's kind of like they sense what
Yeah.
happens. Like it's kind of a blob of a person because they can't actually have the video. But what do you, I mean, why do we need like a camera? It's nice to see what happened because, even you want to see that for like history or because of like, how they actually, or why somebody fell. What about like the Apple Watches and just detecting falls that way?
They're great, but again, that core problem, and this is a problem in robotics as well for older adults. While the Apple Watch is water, like IP68 or whatever, and water resistant, and they show you jumping in the swimming pool, you know what it can't deal with? Soap. Soap is a lot thinner than water, so they don't recommend that you shower with it, and so you're not able to shower with soap with an iWatch. And so if someone's going in the shower and they're using soap or they're washing their hands, it's still a risk, and they are still supposed to take it off. And so it doesn't cover that gap as well. And so there are a couple. I have a list that I've put together. I'm blanking on their name. I know it begins with a V right now, but I can send it after the call. But there are a bunch that no camera, that do it based on like motion detection. It's similar, but they're sensing falls based on like noise, motion, and a couple other things that they look at. And they specifically design it to be used in a bathroom or used in a private environment where you don't want constant video surveillance. And that's really what I see as being what is going to catch on, is that. Yeah.
And
No,
we're
that's,
gonna have Wesley come to us on July 15th and talk about his company, Televisit.
Which is
So
awesome.
stay tuned for that.
all right, everybody. Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody else have any questions or something you want to share?
What's the meaning of life?
That's an AI question for you.
There you go.
I'll send the
Chat,
missionaries
chat.
to your house. Skip.
Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful
Thank
rest
you,
of your day.
Andrew.
Thank you, Julie, for inviting
Thank you,
us.
everyone.
All
Bye.
right, everybody.
Have a great
Have a
week.
great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.